I'm one of the few that actually wanted to take the time to learn it, and somehow I can do good times on it now. So what we're going to be exhibitioning in this game is there's not really a whole lot of speed strats, so to speak, but there are some cool skips that force pages to spawn, and that's what we're going to be investigating. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with the screen scroll to the right, hoping to find a soda can, because that will allow us one of the major skips. But we're going to get a page, so that's okay. So start us off with the blue door. We'll go right into this shmup wannabe known as Bartman. Probably the best music in the game. One thing I actually did discover myself going through this stage, if you actually go to the very bottom of the stage like I am right now, you can avoid all missiles that fly from the bottom of the screen. I'm going to move up to despawn these guys because they're causing a ton of lag. Got hit by the balloon, no big deal. Yeah, a lot of people, I'll at least talk about the game a little bit. A lot of people do know this game is just the game they rented and could never beat, and I was no different. I couldn't beat this game until they had the internet. Meet our first boss here, the twins. Actually, don't remember their last name, but Sherry and Terry. We got pretty bad pattern from them, but we'll be able to worm our way around this. Take all these rocks. Gonna have a small section here with just some balloons. Balloons you can actually kill to get some items, health, extra lives. The extra lives only apply in this stage though, so they don't really matter all that much. We're gonna have Nelson come up and scoot right by us. Here we're gonna have Barney. Barney's very much a glass cannon. He has two really good attacks he can hit you with, one of which you can deflect with your own shots. But the reason I say glass is because he has very, very little health. We're going to be able to finish him off with that. Now we're here going to exhibit the evasion tactic. I'm just going to fly right here at the bottom, and all these missiles are just going to completely avoid us, like they're not even there. They're going to cause a little bit of lag, but can't do anything about that. Let them just float by, scoot on through these clouds with those cool little visual effects, and move on to our next boss, which is going to be Smithers, hardest boss in this particular level. His missiles take off half your life. It's miserable. We're going to move around him here. He's being a jerk. The reason he's so hard is because he shoots these missiles that do a ton of damage, and you can get rid of them, but he acts as a meat shield for them way too much. Like, he'll just get in front of the missiles and just, you know, neener at you and make sure you're going to eat the damage regardless. We'll get to that second fight here in just a moment. The second Smithers fight is going to be the same as the first. You don't have to actually fight him. As long as all the missiles go away, you can just move on. For this section here, one of the harder sections in the level, we're going to move through these radioactive clouds. Key here is to not get hit. Don't even get hit by missiles. If you get hit by a missile coming up, it'll drag you down to a cloud, and the cloud's going to drain all your health. And with us being at such low health, it's a guaranteed death. But we got through that. Moving on to Smithers Part 2. As mentioned, the exact same fight, no different. You just found more missiles, I guess. Got bored. Yep, figured that was going to happen. The third missile always seems to get me for whatever reason, but I expect to take a death on Smithers. I think I've fought through this level deathless maybe a couple times. It's a fairly difficult one. Take that out. Let Smithers and his green hair fly away, which he's never had green hair in anything else, I want to acknowledge. And until we get to the final boss, we're just going to float along the bottom. Not worry at all about any of these rockets that are flying up our way, or these health drops, because they don't affect us. Sailing on out, sailing on a little bit longer. Alright, here we have Burns showing up in his Snoopy-esque World War I Red Baron. Fairly simple strat here. What I do is I start at the top, and as soon as I hear the machine guns firing, I immediately press down and just mash shots. Just let them eat them. You can get in about 7 or 8 shots with good enough pattern, because his pattern is completely random. Sometimes he moves down diagonally, sometimes he zigzags, sometimes he moves up diagonally. There he zigzagged. He came in up, then went down. But yeah, just try and volley in as many hits as you can. It's actually a really simple final boss. Just don't get hit, because his hits do a lot of damage. I think they do 19% of your health. Figured that would at least bring him down to nothing. Alright, so this final cycle should kill him. There we go. Somehow rocks are able to take out a plane. Because why not? Moving on to our second page. For the second page, pretty simple, you just go back to the left. And it's going to spawn. It doesn't spawn immediately. You do have to walk a little bit, but not a huge amount. Thanks, lady. Appreciate the kiss. Caused me to have to miss that mailbox, which I really wanted to jump over. Alright, so there's our page. Let's see what we can get here. Alright, I've had some pretty bad luck with this stage lately. This is one that doesn't really have a name. I've just always called it the bloodstream. The goal here is you have these germs that are trying to attack you. The ones with the spiked helmets play defense. They're essentially there to make sure that you're not going to blow up their buddies. Their buddies, over there, have these bandoliers full of grenades that are used to kill you. Grenades are instant one-shots, they end the level, they make you miserable because they take you back to the overworld and you get nothing out of it. And also the red ones are important because the red ones clear the entire screen. As you can see, it killed that green one that was at the bottom as well. What we're waiting for is for our buddy Joe to show up, who should be here any minute now. Nope, you don't get that. Alright, Joe, do your worst. What happens with Joe is, every time we touch him, that force field at the top of the screen... Oh god, we got sniped there. This is gonna be unfortunate. Leave us alone. Okay. This is a little bit scary, so I gotta focus on this. Every time we touch Joe, the force field loses a bit more of its, I guess we'll say, barrier. I don't know exactly what to say there. We're getting a lot of Joe appearances without any touches here. This is pretty bad. Only a couple more touches should do it, and we're clear on this one, which is good. No. I saw what you were trying to do. Go touch Joe, hopefully one more time. And we got there. Okay, cool. Move on to the next. We're still on the search for a soda can. We'd really like one to appear so we can get one more spawn trick. But for the time being, we're just going to do a little bit of walking. Because we're kind of on the hunt. Basically, we're looking for at this... Oh, cool, we got a soda can. Okay. So now we can start on our page spawning tricks. We want to find... Hopefully we can find Lisa again. She's going to be responsible for one of our abilities to spawn a page. Which I promise, none of this is going to make sense, but we're going to do it anyway. Jebediah heads are annoying. Alright, we're going to hit the saxophone, because that's supposed to summon Lisa. I've never been able to prove that, but it doesn't cost us anything to do it anyway. I thought for a second there was going to be a Jebediah head behind that bus. Alright, here's Lisa. She's going to turn us into a frog, which is not something you want to be. Reduces your walk speed, reduces your jump arc, it's just bad. But if we use that to hit a saxophone, we get a free page, as you can see there at the bottom of the screen. We got hit by the bus, which is unfortunate, but free page is a free page. Come back here. There we go. Alright, this will bring us to our first two-page level, which is going to be Barzilla, aka the level that sold this game. I actually heard a story from a friend that I can just never disagree with. If you saw this screenshot on the back of a magazine back in, 92, 93 when this game was released, this is probably the screenshot you saw that made you want to play the game. Because why would you not want to play as Bart Simpson running around acting like Godzilla? Because that's just the most awesome thing ever. But unfortunately, once you play the level, you just find out it's a terrible auto-scroller where Bart has like 4 frames of animation. Not really a whole lot going on. We're just going to deal with these fighter jets and these tanks and these helicopters. Took me a second. That get in our way. Any building we hit clears the board. Like it just actually evaporates any enemy on the screen. So that's helpful to have happen. They don't trigger at exact points. It's fairly RNG when it happens. Oh, we got hit. That's unfortunate. Go ahead and snipe. The fighter jets are the ones you really want to keep watch of. They do the most damage when they collide into you. They do way more than a helicopter shot or a tank shot. I also apologize for Barzilla screaming like that. There's not really a lot I can do. It's just annoying. It's really, really bad. It's baby Mario bad. Zap all these things on the ground. Hadouken. And what else we got here? We got some fighter jets coming in. This is going to be our boss. When you see 4 fighter jets pop in, that signals the end of the stage. We're going to get hit by a shrink ray, Then we're going to move on to the second phase of the stage, which is just... It's just bad. Like, this level, this is probably the worst level in the entire game. You're climbing this building, and you're trying to avoid objects being dropped on you. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of strategy to it. It's just about reaction time. Any place where the objects will drop, completely random. You have no control over it. You can't manipulate them. You can manipulate Mom Thrust somewhat when she shows up, like she's doing now. And you want to try to do that so she won't fly down and hit you and knock you down. You can also hang out on the ladders on the side. That was unfortunate. But I don't recommend doing that because you actually move slower up the ladder. And also, there's another inherent danger on the left and right sides. Aliens can show up and actually just zap you and kill you. And I'd take getting knocked down the building over instant death any day. People dropping their cats, bowling balls. Clearly, they don't care anything about their personal possessions. Which, you know, more power to them. We're going to move up here to these final sections. That was pretty unfortunate. Nothing much I could do. Leave around her there. Okay, I wasn't blocking any of that. There were 2 objects falling on each side of me, and Montha was right there. Alright, we're going to move above... Well, we were going to move above her until we got tagged by an item. Problem with this stage is it's very momentum heavy. So if you're moving, it's hard to stop moving. So you can just fly up into objects and not be able to do anything about it. Knocks you down about 4 levels. You kind of just have to keep going, because unless the screen catches up with you, it's never going to beat you. Ugh. That was lame. Alright, here we have Homer, the final boss. We have a defense mechanism we're going to use on him to kill him. Now I'm just getting ruined. Pretty bad times here. Got him. Okay. The face buttons you have in this stage generate an electrical force field around your body. You don't use them at all in the entire level except for that boss fight. You have to get him to touch you while your force field is active, and it kills him. Alright, so we're moving back into the overworld. We've got a couple more tricks we can utilize here. We need to find... I'm hoping to find an old lady. She would be the best target. Don't want to get hit by the music note. We'll start walking backwards. That's really bad. Okay. Now the game's being cruel. Okay. So we're going to move right past her. That's fine. Pop a bubble on her head. And yes, you can move the bubbles. One thing a lot of people probably didn't know. This page spawn is one that's a bit delayed. Sometimes it's going to happen. It's just sometimes it takes a while because memory load. We got all these Jebediah heads we got to kill. Wow. We're going to get some health. You can blow bubbles into those blue Z's to pop up into your health bar to just get extra HP. Okay, there we got our page. Okay. Took a minute, but we got there. Alright. Moving on to my favorite level as a kid, the Itchy and Scratchy levels. Even the second one, which is definitely the hardest level. Right now we're in the first one. This plays like a standard beat-em-up, except it's pretty fast. You can't attack unless you have a weapon, but there's plenty of weapons at our disposal. We have to start out with a hammer. It's the only option. We just run around and take care of Itchy and Scratchy because they're trying to murder us, and why would we want them to do that? Got a few more enemies coming up here. We got some vacuum cleaners that are hell-bent on murdering you. Take this fire extinguisher, which is a good weapon. It's just not the best weapon. It has a cool trick where you can turn the hitbox to the other side. Like if you're going left, you can immediately make it go right, like that. We're going to camp out here for a moment, which is really what a lot of this level's about. You kind of just stand in one spot a lot of the time. Got another Scratchy, 2 more Itchies. Another Scratchy. Oh god, he got past the blast. We're gonna head upstairs, and this is where we're gonna obtain the best weapon in the entire game, the plunger gun. Anyone who never reached Itchy and Scratchy level 2 will never know how powerful this weapon is. It's still the best weapon, even outside of the damage output it can do, because it has the longest range. It goes full screen and it travels really fast. So you want to use it regardless, even though you don't have any cool like ways to turn like the hitbox or whatever like you do with the fire extinguisher. It still kills enemies way faster than the fire extinguisher. Now here's a hack for you. For the kitchen, which is the last room in the first level, for anyone that didn't know this, just stand right below the sink and wait for them to show up. We're just gonna pop them off here because we can just camp here like a turret. probably wondering, what about Itchy that throws the gigantic knives? They're just going to pass over my head. Like so. You don't have to do anything but sit here and be comfy and hyperventilate like Bart's doing right now. 2 more of these guys. No reason to move. By the way, I hope everyone's enjoying the marathon. I know this game is a bit weird. In fact, it's very, very weird, but I at least like to be able to exhibit just how much of a gigantic wash this game can be. It's not a very well-designed game. We're going to get hit by a fireball in celebration of that page, though. But it has some quirks that can be worked around. Reminds me a lot of Castlevania, too, in that regard. Alright, next page spawn. We're going to hope for a TV. If we get the bullies, that's fine, too. But we got the TV. Spin a watermelon seed. And there's our page. So we're going to move on to the other Itchy and Scratchy stage. And this stage is... this stage is just hard. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the hardest stage in the entire game, even more so than the temples. Which is why we're getting it out of the way now. So we have to kill 5 vacuum cleaners before we move on. And the important thing is we have to keep the plunger gun. We don't have a choice. The plunger, if you want to save time anyway, the plunger gun is the absolute best weapon against the final boss of this level. Our backup is the fire extinguisher, but we really don't want that. Alright, so we'll take that. Now, this part is where it starts to get scary, because we don't have a way to obtain the plunger gun for the rest of the run. This is the only plunger gun we're going to have for the rest of the level. And for this one, we had to camp out up here on the countertop, because these bubbles, they're going to come out and try to snipe us. The bubbles can't kill us, but they can do damage, and anything that deals damage to you here takes away your weapon. And as I mentioned before, do not lose the plunger gun. That is priority numero uno. Take out Itchy. We're just going to snipe away like a turret on those bubbles that show up. They show up in random intervals. You have no control over it. Just kind of have to kill them as they go. They also have random HP. Some die in 1 hit, some die in 2, some die in 3. I've even had one die that in 4 hits, which meant that it killed me before I was able to kill it, and that was pretty frustrating. So we've got a couple more enemies to deal with here. Take out this guy. Alright, that's the last one for that. Now here comes the hardest part of the level, this jump I'm about to hit, so quiet time. Alright, we got there. Those mouse traps are incredibly hard to avoid. They have very random movement patterns, and you do not want to get hit by one because, again, you lose your plunger gun. Hardest obstacle to avoid in the entire game, by quite a bit. 2 more scratchies, we're going to move on. Now we get to go see why the plunger gun is the real MVP. So we're going to take out 8 vacuum cleaners that always show up in waves of 8. That one almost got me. That was terrifying. Move forward to spawn Scratchy. Move forward to spawn Itchy. Move forward to spawn Scratchy. And 8 hits later, we beat the final boss. That fight with a fire extinguisher takes 1 minute and 15 seconds. There it took all of about 7 seconds. That's why you want the plunger gun. That boss right there is exactly why you want it. Alright, for our last skip, we really want to have the bullies show up. So we're going to walk until they can pop in. We're going to gain some health to help us out. The bullies generally show up fairly consistently at this point in the run. When you're down to like just a few pages, that was lame. Couldn't see them because of the foreground object. Actually, we're going to try this skip one more time. This has worked twice for me in the past. Oh, hey, it worked. Sweet. Alright, cool. Temple time, and I am going to need some quiet time here, so bear with me, guys. I'm going to kill this guy. I do not want to deal with him today. All the way to the end, and there we are. That's page numero uno. Now on to numero dos. Aww. I went one too far. Okay, that's actually fine. I still have one more page spawn trick. I still have the soda can, so we're still in okay shape. Okay, cool. Free page. There we go. Shows this run is human after all. Alright, let's try that again. Let's do it correctly this time. Alright, got there. I was hoping for a sub 20, but I made a slight miscalculation error. No big deal. And there's our time. Alright. That'll give us a final grade of a B-. Probably not the A+ everyone was hoping to see, but we got it. Homer's slightly content, Marge is happy, Lisa is flabbergasted. Alright, just to go over some notes about that last level since I couldn't describe it while the level was going on. The pattern is exactly the same every single time, and I promise I'm not smart enough to be able to figure out my own pattern there. I completely stole it from a TAS. And there we have it. I use the same pattern every time. The only thing about it that's RNG is the devils that appear. Depending on their positioning, when they appear, you want to get rid of them. So you hope for good intervals which they can appear, so as they won't interfere with what you're trying to do. Not a huge deal, but we got there. And you also use the scroll tactic to move past the Maggie statues. Like if you just hold down the R button, a la Super Mario World, it just scrolls right past it, and it just fires away, so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's gonna be Bart's Nightmare with this weird outro music. Do apologize for the death in the second level of the temple, but it's a hard game. Whatever. Alright guys, appreciate y'all sticking around with me. You guys have a great rest of the marathon. Enjoy yourselves. And thanks for watching. Alright guys, appreciate y'all sticking around with me. You guys have a great rest of the marathon. Enjoy yourselves. And thanks for watching.